From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Grateful to have this opportunity to speak with you, young people. You all hold a special place in my heart, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Pope Leo XIV makes history at this year's National Catholic Youth Conference by participating in a live digital encounter with teens. Welcome to EWTN News Nightly. I'm Veronica Dudo. Thank you for being with us on the Feast of the Presentation of the Blessed Virgin Mary. We begin tonight with a landmark event at Lucas Oil Stadium. For the very first time, Pope Leo XIV engaged in a live digital conversation with American Catholic youth. It was all thanks to Vatican media and our global team here at EWTN. Rochelle Regis reports from Indianapolis.
I'm on the ground at Lucas Oil Stadium where just earlier today, for the first time, the Holy Father engaged with America's youth in a live digital encounter. They spoke about the sacraments, mental health, and today's digital world. Take a listen.
Dear young people, dear friends, good morning.
Speaking to a stadium of 16,000 14 to 18-year-old NCYC participants and millions watching around the world, the Holy Father gave pastoral advice and practical suggestions to Mia's mothers, Ezekiel Ponce, Christopher Pantelakis, Micah Alsisto, and Elise Wing.
I am so excited about the future, but I'm also worried. I'm worried that the church might not be relevant to people or mean as much. So my question is, how is the church preparing for the future?
When we face challenges or worries about the future, it might be good to remember that promise that Jesus once made to Peter when he said, "The gates of hell will not prevail against the church." The more you come to know Jesus, the more you will want to serve him and his church. If you want to help the church prepare for the future, start by being involved today. Stay connected to your parish. Attend Sunday Mass. Join youth activities. And say yes to opportunities, just as you've done taking part in this conference.
The dialogue lasted about 45 minutes, and the teens said it was a powerful experience.
It was absolutely amazing, to be honest. It's just so powerful to see him, even though he's not in person but online.
I'm absolutely crazy about Pope Leo, and just seeing him for the first time on live television is absolutely insane. It's amazing.
He just felt so much like my dad. He was like my papa. He was Pope Leo. It was like, just felt so intimate. It was amazing.
It was just really amazing to hear his advice on all these super relatable topics that really matter to people my age. It was so cool.
The youth are not only the future but also the present of the church.
Personal interactions, not digital at all. Like personal interactions are just so amazing.
I really liked what he said about the little things being important. How you're the church right now. The little things you do is what makes you important and how you can make a difference.
Live at NCYC from Indianapolis, Indiana, I'm Rochelle Regis reporting for EWTN News Nightly.
If you missed the conversation with Pope Leo or would like to see it again, you can watch on YouTube, on EWTN Plus, or on demand. And remember, our live coverage of the National Catholic Youth Conference continues tonight at 7:30 Eastern. President Donald Trump clarifies his controversial punishable by death comment, saying he wasn't threatening any lawmakers, but emphasizing how serious he believes their actions were. The president made the original comment after he saw a video posted by several Democrat veterans who told military service members to refuse illegal orders because their oath of office allows it. The actions have caused reaction from both sides of the aisle. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales reports. Eric.
Good evening, Veronica. The video was posted on social media and contains 6 members of Congress, all of whom served in the military or part of the intelligence community. In the video, which has received some 17 million views, the Democratic lawmakers did not make it clear what orders active military should disobey, only that each military personnel has the right to disobey illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders. you can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
The video caused the president to be enraged, posting a flurry of messages on his Truth Social site, saying they should be arrested and put on trial, adding an example must be set. The president then reposted another message stating, hang them, George Washington would. Democrats were quick to criticize the president's rhetoric.
The President of the United States is calling for the execution of elected officials. I have never seen a president or heard of a president who has done more to encourage political violence.
Republicans took offense at the president's choice of words, but defended the president's intent, including House Speaker Mike Johnson, who has a son in the Navy.
That was a wildly inappropriate thing for so-called leaders in Congress to do, to encourage young troops to disobey orders. I mean, think of what the threat that is to our national security and what it means to our institutions.
We have incredible men and women that serve in uniform here in the United States of America. They are aware of what are lawful orders and what are unlawful orders. They don't need a bunch of members of Congress telling them how to act when the president gives direction.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was quick to defend the president as well.
They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful.
Colorado Congressman Jason Crow, who was in the video, tells me he received several death threats.
When the President of the United States tweets out death threats and says the things that he says, that stirs things up a lot. But again, I'm not going to be threatened and intimidated, and it's certainly not going to change my approach.
Again, President Trump clarified his reaction earlier today, saying that he wasn't threatening lawmakers, but he was, quote, thinks they are in serious trouble. In the video, the Democrats cited threats to the Constitution, alluding that active military members are being pitted against American citizens. At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
House Oversight Committee Chairman Congressman James Comer has ordered former President Bill Clinton and his wife, former Secretary of State Hillary, to appear for depositions next month amid the panel's probe of late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Congressman Comer initially subpoenaed the former first couple in early August to answer questions about their relationship with Epstein, but the Clintons' attorney responded asking for his clients to make merely a written response. Now, Chairman Comer is demanding that the Clintons appear in person. Bill Clinton's deposition is scheduled for December 17th, and Hillary's deposition is slated for the following day on December 18th. The Clintons' attorney has not yet responded. President Trump and New York Mayor-elect Zohran Mandani meet in the Oval Office today. While this was their first face-to-face encounter, they are certainly not strangers. In the weeks before and after the mayoral elections, both men raised up the rhetoric. But today was a different story.
There's no difference in anything, and we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the President, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City.
To talk about this, I'm joined by Dustin Olson. He is a managing partner at American Pulse Research and Polling and Olson Strategies and Advertising. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here.
So what a difference a few weeks makes. Both men played a united front. They displayed it. What was your takeaway from the meeting?
Well, it seemed like they both were enjoying themselves. It was funny at times. And this is one of the things that I think both of them show what top talented politicians can do. They're both charismatic. They both know where they're going. And you can see why both of them have been successful.
Trump is a Republican and Mandani is a socialist Democrat. Do you see that as a uniting or dividing factor?
Well, that's a great question, and it's interesting, and it really struck me watching them there. They have, in many ways, the same opposition, the same entrenched Democrats who are afraid of losing power, and some of whom did not support Mandani still have not, and those who are, some of the biggest opponents of the president. So in many ways, they have similar opposition. Now, it's something I've been watching over the last few weeks since the election is people may not know this, but there are 250 plus socialist Democrats who have been elected across the country, 90% of them elected since 2019. So there's an intentional strategy for people like Mandani. It started off with AOC to take on these entrenched Democrats in races across the country, and they're having success. And it definitely is a transformation of that party.
To what extent are President Trump and Mayor-elect Mandani figureheads for the right and the left in America?
That's also a great question. It's obviously President Trump is the leader of the Republican Party. He's the leader of the conservative movement, even though he's not traditionally been the most conservative of politicians. He is that figurehead, that leader. Now, for Zoran Mandani, it's interesting. He's not even elected he's been elected as mayor, but he's not in office yet. However, in new polling, the Harvard-Harris poll that for November came out, and 50% of Americans believe that Zoran Mandani represents the Democrat Party today, as well as 65% of Democrats say the same thing. So he's clearly becoming the face of the party. And it's interesting, one reason why I think this summit happened today is that they both have a common goal, which is New York City being strong, but also they both want more Zoran Mandani to be the face of the Democrat Party. It benefits both of them.
Dustin Olson, thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
Next Thursday, Thanksgiving, that's when President Donald Trump wants an answer from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on his proposed 28-point peace plan. But President Trump also said in a radio interview today an extension is possible to finalize terms. The proposal comes as the conflict is quickly approaching its 4th anniversary. White House correspondent Owen Jensen joins us with more. Owen.
Well, Veronica, in that radio interview, the president also said, quote, "I've had a lot of deadlines, but if things are working well, you tend to extend the deadlines," adding that he thinks next Thursday is an appropriate time. The president also spoke about the war in Ukraine late this afternoon.
Yeah, we have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. Just so sad, so many people. Last month they lost 25,000 soldiers.
In a recorded speech, President Volodymyr Zelensky addresses his nation.
This is one of the most difficult moments in our history. The pressure on Ukraine is now at its most intense. Ukraine may now face a very difficult choice, either the loss of dignity or the risk of losing a key partner, or 28 difficult points, or an extremely harsh winter.
The U.S. plan foresees Ukraine handing over territory to Russia, reduces the size of its army, blocks NATO membership, and offers limited security guarantees to Ukraine.
The most difficult and further risks are a life without freedom, without dignity, without justice, and believing someone who has already attacked us twice.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says Moscow has received it and cautiously welcomed the U.S. proposal, saying it could form the basis of a final peace settlement. The U.S. plan contains many of Putin's long-standing demands. Handing territory over to Russia is something Zelensky has repeatedly ruled out. Earlier this week, President Donald Trump described his frustration with Putin.
Because I have a good relationship with President Putin, but I'm a little disappointed in President Putin right now. He knows that.
The British Prime Minister says he held a four-way call with Zelensky and the leaders of France and Germany to affirm their support for Ukraine.
All matters to do with Ukraine must be determined ultimately by Ukraine. Now, we all want a just and lasting peace. That's what the President of America wants. That's what we all want. And so we need to work from where we are to that end.
Meanwhile, the attacks continue despite the diplomacy. A Russian glide bomb slammed into high-rise apartments and a market in Zaporizhia. The blast killed at least 5 Ukrainians and injured 10 more. And an overnight attack in Odessa left 5 people wounded.
In addition, President Trump said this afternoon that at some point the Ukrainian president is going to have to accept something, and that Zelensky should have made a deal to end the war a year or two ago. Veronica?
Thanks, Owen. Now to Nigeria, where another abduction has taken place. This time, a Catholic school was targeted. Both students and staff were taken. It happened at St. Mary's School in Agwara. The school served children between 12 and 17 years old. Gunmen attacked the school early this morning. As of right now, no one has claimed responsibility. One girl escaped, and her sister spoke to the media earlier today.
I don't even know how they are feeling, especially my sister. I'm very, very sure that she's going through a very rough. In fact, I don't even want to call her for now. Maybe later I can have a conversation with her.
Representative Chris Smith of New Jersey joins me now. Congressman, I want to get your reaction to reports that gunmen attacked a Catholic boarding school in a western region of Nigeria, and local media say 52 children have been abducted.
Yes, Veronica, we actually got a correspondence from the diocese there. And you're right, 52 kids at least have been abducted. And again, this was done at 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. in the morning. They used the element of surprise. And just 2 days ago, I met with a very high level of Nigerian leaders, including the Attorney General, their top military people, intel people, 15 in all, for 2 hours. And they claimed that nobody was being abducted or killed because of their faith. The evidence absolutely says the otherwise.
Religious persecution in Nigeria has dramatically increased. Congressman, this is your 12th hearing on religious persecution there. What distinguishes this moment from previous years of violence against Christians?
If you're a moderate Muslim or a Christian, you're fair game for these very extreme radical Islamist organizations like the Fulani, the Boko Haram, and ISIS West Africa. And I focused my hearing yesterday very much on the fact that the country of particular concern designation by our president, Trump, was so necessary. We need a plan of action. We want to work with them, frankly, to stop this horrible cruelty. I've had 12 hearings on. I've been there 3 times. I met with some of the greatest clerics ever, including Archbishop Kegama, who at the time was in Jos, went to 5 firebombed Catholic churches. And they claim none of this is based on religious animosity. Of course it is.
Now, of course, you mentioned the president designated Nigeria as the country of particular concern is being called historic. So if Nigeria fails to meet the benchmarks associated with the CPC status, what additional measures, economic, diplomatic, or security related, do you believe the United States should be prepared to consider?
Well, everything is on the table, according to the president. But in the past, and even our great ambassador to the United States, Michael Waltz, he was a Green Beret, 26 years in the military. He was deployed to Nigeria to help the Nigerians with very, very serious counterinsurgency training. And as a matter of fact, the Nigerian SEALs team, he was helping them to rescue young women who had been abducted by Boko Haram. The problem was during the Biden administration, there was a hands-off. They said there's no religious persecution happening there. And again, the CPC makes very clear, the government doesn't have to be doing it, but if they look the other way and they enable it by their inaction, they are liable to the sanctions embedded in the International Religious Freedom Act. And I conveyed that as strongly as I could to the delegation. Our hearing made it very clear that we stand in solidarity with the oppressed and not with the oppressor. And the oppressors are growing in number. And so long as you put your hands in the pockets or do a minimalist, effort to stop them, they will only proliferate and do more killings and rapes. They rape these girls when they're abducted. They force them to become Muslims. And as I think you may know, in one of my hearings, I had a man that was forced, he didn't do it, to renounce his faith. They put an AK-47 into his side of his face, and he said, I'm not going to renounce my faith, and they pulled the trigger. He survived. I brought him over here to testify. It was an amazing hearing to hear his courage. This man who is from Jos, which is again where Archbishop Kegama used to be. And this week, as you know, we had Bishop Anagbe testify
Well, it's a story we will continue to cover. Please keep us posted. Congressman Chris Smith, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We have a lot more still to come on EWTN News Nightly. It's that time of year again. As America prepares for Thanksgiving, we speak with a travel expert about what you can expect on the road and in the skies. And Blueprint for Peace, how a letter written by Catholic bishops in the years after World War II still shows us the way to reconciliation. Less than a week, families across the country will sit down together to enjoy Thanksgiving, but first they have to get there. AAA is projecting nearly 82 million people will travel at least 50 miles between next Tuesday and the following Monday. That's a new record. Whether you're going by road, rail, or the friendly skies, you can expect long lines and dense traffic. Christy Hudson, a travel expert with Expedia, joins us now to discuss what to expect for holiday travel. Christy, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So first, give us an overview of what we can expect when it comes to Thanksgiving travel on the road and in the skies.
Well, the good news for all the millions of Americans who will be traveling next week for the Thanksgiving holiday is that after a lengthy government shutdown, the environment at the airport is stabilizing. Air travel is returning a bit more to normal. But the thing to remember is normal over Thanksgiving is still very, very busy, especially the Tuesday and Wednesday leading up to the holiday. And the Sunday is when everyone comes back. If you're traveling any one of those days, you're going to prepare for long waits, long queues at the airport.
So what would be your best advice to travelers?
So you're definitely going to want to leave early because it's not just at the airport that's busy. A lot of cars are going to be on the road between you and the airport. Also, a key tip is to reserve your parking at the airport. There have been instances where I've seen people abandoning cars on the side of the road because there's not a spot left at the lots off-site or on-site. Also, my biggest tip is to pack light, carry on instead of packing a bag that you have to check. That's a whole queue at the airport that you can skip if you're traveling light.
As things are getting back to normal, any tips when it comes to booking the travel or hotels?
Yeah, so the biggest way to save is if you need a hotel, a car rental, a flight, book all of that stuff at the same time. On a site like Expedia, you can save hundreds of dollars. Those are called vacation packages. You can also use the travel apps. A lot of them have last-minute flight deals and last-minute hotel deals where you can save 20 to 40%.
Do you think the roads will be more crowded with so many people having just experienced the government shutdown and, of course, the delays in flights?
So I think bigger than that might be weather. Weather is always a factor when you travel this time of year. And although the weather forecast looks okay for next week still, it looks wet. There's a lot of rain. And especially if you're traveling at the latter part of the day, those cancellations and delays tend to kind of snowball. So make sure you just factor in those delays by bringing extra snacks, charging cords, maybe extra diapers for the baby. So you could be sitting both at the gate or on the tarmac while your plane waits to get to the gate.
Not trying to rush the Thanksgiving holiday, but looking ahead to Christmas, any advice or any thoughts on what that might look like in terms of travel?
Yeah, so Christmas has a nice bigger travel period, right? Thanksgiving's quite condensed. Everybody wants to be there on Thanksgiving Day and leave again the weekend after. Christmas, the best way to do it is to avoid those peak travel days. That tends to be the Saturday before Christmas, and then coming back, that tends to be the weekend directly following. So if you can travel on the holiday itself, Christmas Eve, those are really inexpensive days, ways that you can save both time and money on your Christmas travel.
Christy Hudson, thanks so much.
Thanks.
Up next on EWTN News Nightly, a letter of forgiveness. Why hundreds gathered in Poland to commemorate a special letter between Polish and German bishops written 60 years ago. In 1965, the Polish bishops addressed a message to their German counterparts, launching the process of Polish-German reconciliation in the church after World War II. EWTN News Vatican journalist Magdalena Wolinska-Reedy traveled to Poland for the 60th anniversary of the Letter of Reconciliation.
We forgive and ask for forgiveness. These powerful words, written by the Polish bishops in their 1965 letters to the German bishops, were far more than a mere diplomatic gesture. It was a courageous moral act. The celebrations of the 60th anniversary of the famous letter took place this week in Wrocław, the Polish city in the border region between Poland and Germany, in the presence of both the Polish and German episcopates, as well as political authorities from both nations. It was a moment of profound reflection on the meaning of reconciliation.
After such a history of devastation and horror, set in motion and driven forward by the German Reich, how could there ever again be a harmonious coexistence among nations?
The letter was issued at a time when the wounds of the Second World War were still painfully open, and dialogue between Poles and Germans seemed almost impossible. Through this letter, its author, Polish Cardinal and Metropolitan of Wrocław, Bolesław Kominek, reaching the close of the Second Vatican Council, a council during which Polish and German bishops had worked side by side in Rome, offered a hand of forgiveness. And so the process that helped rebuild trust, overcome historical trauma, and paved the way for meaningful Polish-German cooperation was initiated.
One can make gestures of reconciliation, but reconciliation is, in essence, a process. We must continue to nurture this reconciliation in some way. We have to keep supporting it. So this year's commemoration is not only about recalling that beautiful gesture of reconciliation, a gesture that later has its political and social implications as well. But this reconciliation today reminds us that we are capable of reaching out to one another, that we are capable of overcoming these difficulties.
60 years later, the letter stands as a beacon, a blueprint of how to build peace. And in a world marked by wars, conflicts, and the widespread loss of trust, the message of reconciliation is urgently needed.
Human beings are always the same, and they always tend to divide and oppose one another rather than to meet. And the Church, as the Second Vatican Council itself said, is a sign and instrument not only of union with God, but also of the unity of human beings among themselves. And I believe that 60 years ago, the Polish and German bishops did exactly this. They put the council into practice, and this is what must be done today as well.
To this day, the legacy of the Polish bishop's letter to the German bishops continues to challenge nations, communities, and individuals to seek peace, not as a distant dream, but a concrete responsibility. In Wrocław, Magdalena Wolinska-Reedy, EWTN News Nightly.
We thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, YouTube, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Veronica Dudo. Good night and God bless.